So when the conflict kind of first arose, action steps, deep breathing. Okay, I'm feeling myself getting amped up. Boom, create a positive trigger along where you feel yourself getting amped up and connecting that immediately to going into some deep breathing exercises. That's a great positive trigger. Anytime you feel your heart rate going up, if it's anxiety or anxiousness, immediately kick in your deep breathing. That is the quickest way to rebalance your nervous system. The exhale has got to be longer than the inhale. The exhale has to be longer than the inhale.
Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you. This episode is sponsored by Arrowhead Leadership Consulting. What are your organization's biggest pain points right now? Low EQ leaders, weak managers, toxic culture, high turnover, low engagement, leader development, lagging behind company growth, no company career path. Let us know if your organization needs leadership coaching, workshops, training, or keynotes. Visit arrowhead-leadership.com for more details. Arrowhead-leadership.com.
EQ Gangsters. Disclaimer, I apologize up front for background huffing and puffing. For those y'all on the podcast, on YouTube, you can see that I'm walking briskly. So, all-consuming conflict. ACC is the topic today. All-consuming conflict. How does conflict affect you? Have you ever had conflict scenarios where it was all-consuming? What were those conflict scenarios that were all-consuming? I am thankful for sunrises and sunsets and trees and rain and grass and different types of trees. The fall, colors of leaves as the leaves change. Well, I guess it's winter, but it's 70 today in Texas, so it still feels like fall. So I'm thankful for firewood. I'm thankful for fireplaces. You guys have never heard me say that before. Joking, because I love fireplaces and fires and campfires. Thankful for ponds and fish and coyotes and horses and cattle and feeding horses and cattle and Ricky the raccoon, squirrels, people, smiles, teeth, ears, eyebrows, eyes, noses, walking, fitness, health, decision-making, choices, freedom, flexibility, creativity, curiosity. People, groups, different cultures, different perspectives, different thoughts, feedback, constructive criticism, jujitsu, adversity, challenges, struggles, insights, epiphanies, grace, patience, and curiosity. Okay. All-consuming conflict. Let's just do the most recent one. What is the most recent all-consuming conflict scenario you've had? And this would be homework, an exercise today, so you can pause this or do this later. What are some of the lessons and observations? Those are two separate questions. You can pull from your most recent all-consuming conflict scenario. So why am I talking about this? You might ask. Big Papi is in the middle. That's me. Sorry, that's my inside family name that my family calls me. So I'm going through some all-consuming conflict. Now, now I'll tell you, here's how I know I've grown. Any and every conflict was all-consuming pre-EQ. Now, this particular conflict scenario is all-consuming, but because it checks a number of different blocks. It affects my family. It affects me. It affects friends. It affects present decisions. It affects future decisions. It has a number of elements that I am completely out of control. Elements where I have no control over. Not where I'm out of control, but I have no control over. Quite a few elements that I have no control over. And so here's what I've done. Just so what has been incredibly helpful. And I woke up at 2:00 in the morning, and I was thinking about last night. Woke up from 2 to 7. So here's what I've done. I'm getting slammed here with all my thoughts. So when the conflict kind of first arose, action steps, deep breathing. Okay. I'm feeling myself getting amped up. Boom. Create a positive trigger along where you feel yourself getting amped up and connecting that immediately to going into some deep breathing exercises. That's a great positive trigger. Anytime you feel your heart rate going up, if it's anxiety or anxiousness, immediately kick in your deep breathing. That is the quickest way to rebalance your nervous system. The exhale has got to be longer than the inhale. The exhale has to be longer than the inhale. That was the first thing I did. Next thing I did was wrote down all my emotions. And I'm talking, and not just that, but y'all, I've been doing this for a long time. However long now, 6, 7 years, 8 years, whatever I'm on. And this time I pulled out the old emotion wheel. Like the old days when I was first starting out. I busted it out again. I got to 20 or 30 on my own of emotions I'm feeling about this conflict scenario. After busting out the emotion wheel, I got up to like 54 emotions that popped about this scenario, surrounding this scenario. So that was the next thing I did. The next thing I did was, where am I feeling those emotions in my body? I felt it in the pit of my stomach. I felt it in my traps. A little bit, not my chest, mostly my pit of my stomach and my traps. So that's where I was feeling my body. Now, one of the other steps that I normally do that I didn't do is on a scale from 1 to 10, how intensely am I feeling each of those emotions? Those 54 emotions. Because they're not all 10s. They're all a variety. So I haven't done that piece yet. Next thing I did was spent 5 hours from 2 to 7. I know you guys are waiting for me to finish that one. Crafting an email to the parties involved, which really helped me process my thoughts. Now, hold on, that's not exactly accurate. That was after I already vomited and wrote down other thoughts I had, some kind of like highlight bullets that I had. And I did that like yesterday and the day before, and maybe even last week. But this morning, because my thoughts were still kind of jumbled, I crafted like a legit email. Haven't sent it, but I spent 5 hours crafting it, going back through, rereading it, going back through, rereading it, tweaking this, adding this, taking this out. Okay, I got a little emotional there. Let me take that back out. Let me put this verbiage in that doesn't clearly or accurately state what I'm trying to communicate. Trying to be clear, concise, brevity, loving, caring, firm, self-advocating, and advocating for the team that's involved. So that was very, very helpful. What else did I do last night? Because we had kind of a new development. I went and had a conversation with Kathy about some of the different dynamics. Then I went to the gym and worked out. Had a great work. Oh, first I did a cold plunge, which I hated because I'm 2 months out of practice, out of habit from my shoulder surgery. And so now that it's a little bit cooler in the evening, it's way more uncomfortable for me because I've gotten out of the habit and it's cooler outside. When it's blazing hot, it's easy peasy to jump in the cold plunge, or easier. And it's also way easier when it's already a habit. Well, so I got out of the habit. It is not easy. So talking about deliberate discomfort. But because I feel myself pansying out, I immediately start getting undressed, flip the lid up so I can jump in that thing so I don't chicken out. So I got in the cold plunge, then I dried off, put my clothes back on, then lifted. And it was awesome. Super, super helpful. Then I'm on a walk right now. So that's also super helpful, is just getting the body moving. So what can you take away, learn, and how are you handling, how are you approaching the conflict? Here's another thing too. I'm really asking myself, and in the email, what can I learn? How can I grow? What do I need to take ownership of? How did I contribute? What did I miss? What, how do we move forward? How do we resolve? How is so-and-so looking at this? What have I missed? So those are some things to think about and chew on. Um, what lessons have you learned recently from all-consuming conflict? It can be a growth tool. I'm stoked for this opportunity to learn from and grow from, as a result of this opportunity. Some awesome, haven't had all-consuming conflict in a hot minute, and it's great. I'm learning, I'm applying my EQ muscles, I'm applying some new EQ techniques and stuff, and having a more holistic approach to all-consuming conflict, and I'm doing so much better at handling it. And we'll see. Who knows how the outcome is? I can't guarantee the outcome, but I know that I'm going into it and through it so much better than I ever would have before. Love you guys.